Okay, so I thought I'd do some recording and help show you, walk you through some more examples here in the highlights of this part of the section. I mean, there's the aspects of what a probability distribution, discrete probability, discrete random variable, and all that. And you can read the text for that. The definitions are there, but sometimes people are having a hard time struggling with these formulas. So, a couple of things. All of these probabilities are between 0 and 1, and none of them are negative, so that's another thing that lets me know this is a discrete probability distribution or a probability distribution of a discrete random variable. And the other aspect of it is they have to have a sum of 1, and if we add these up, we should get a sum of 1. Okay. So I've copied these numbers over to a spreadsheet just because this stuff is custom made for spreadsheet work. Okay, so if you're a little unsure about using Excel or even Google Docs, okay, because that's exactly the same product. It's just it's free. So we got to make sure that this is a probability distribution by making sure the sum adds to 1. So in Google Docs or many spreadsheet programs, you can start with the equal sign will tell you that you tell the spreadsheet you start with a formula, and I wrote the word sum, and in Excel you can see how it helps you to, well, what do you want to add up, what do you want to find the sum of, and I'm just highlighting this B2 cell, right? The B2 cell is right here, and we're going to find the sum of all those cells. And they do add to 1, so we do have a discrete, and it looks like this is a discrete random variable, the probability distribution of a discrete random variable. Now to find the mean, what we're going to do is, if you go back and look at this formula, it says take each number and multiply it by the probability of that number happening. Here, let me grab a highlighter. Okay, so we've got this number, which is the x's, and we're going to multiply it by the probability of each event happening, and then this big E is a Greek letter sigma, and it means find the sum, add them up. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to multiply each of these numbers times its associated probability, and then find the sum of those numbers, and that'll be the mean for this distribution. Okay, so I'm going to do that right here. I'm just going to say equals, I want to multiply this cell times this cell. And I'm going to do that for each of these cells. I can either type that in or I can fill down. Excel does that automatically for us. So if you click on the cell, you can see it's multiplying the 1 times the probability of it happening. And if I click on that cell, it's the 2 times its probability. Okay, and hopefully that's old hat for you. So now I'm going to find the sum of these products, and that's going to be the mean for this distribution. It also has, as you do some reading, it also means this is the expected value of this distribution, and it's the long run average. So because this was, what was this about? This was the number of videos a customer rents and the probability of each event. So in the long run, with many customers, they would rent on average 1.49 videos. Okay, so that's how you find the mean or the expected value of a distribution. Okay, insurance companies will do this. There's a problem that I'll throw at you sometime where it talks about what's the expected return on an insurance policy for an insurance company, and that's just an expected value or the mean of a probability distribution. So now, what's next here? The next other part that throws people is in this section is how do you find the standard deviation, the variance? Well, this formula says, if we look at it, it says take each number, subtract the mean, and then you're going to square that value. And once you get that value, you're going to multiply it by the probability of happening, and then we're going to add all those products up. Okay, so let me show you how that works in case the Greek letters are throwing you. Okay, so I started another sheet here. So I knew the mean. Let's see, what was the mean? The mean was what, 1.49? I'm going to write that down here because I'll never remember that. So the mean was 1.49. So I'm going to subtract that number. So I'm going to subtract x minus the 1.49. And there's all kinds of tricks you can do with Excel. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the 0, and that gets the A2 cell. I'm going to subtract 1.49. Okay, and that's the difference. And I'm going to do that for each one of those numbers. It's going to be 1 minus 1.49. Okay, and you can almost see the way it goes to a positive. Right, so now I have to square each of those values or multiply them by themselves. So equal, so you do equals for the formula. I'm going to click on that cell, and I'm going to raise it to the second power, caret 2. And that squares everything. Okay, so now what I've done here is the number minus the mean is, let me go to a green. The number minus the mean is this part of the formula. Oops, I don't want quite that much. And then I squared each of those. So that tells me this much of the formula. I don't know if you can see the green and the blue. Now I've got to multiply that result from the squaring times the probability of it happening. So here's the probability of each for the 0 and the probability for the 1. I'm going to multiply those two cells together. So I'm going to write the word product just so I know what I'm looking at here. That's if we could spell product. So I'm just going to do the cell times that cell. And I'm just going to grab it and fill down. And then I need to find the sum. Remember back that Greek letter sigma? That means add them up. So I'm going to add up all those products, which will be the variance. Whoops, I probably shouldn't have that top. It might give me an error. Oh, we did it. It didn't. I should have just done these cells and found the sum of these cells. Okay, so that's the variance. And then, of course, to find a standard deviation, we just want to take the square root of the variance, just like we did back when we were working with a single variable. So the standard deviation equals the square root. In Excel, you can just type in square root, SQRT. We take the square root of that number, and that should be the variance. I'm sorry, the variance and the standard deviation. Okay, I wonder if I should have. Okay, so that's the variance. That's standard deviation. It's that little work. Okay.